All right, welcome in to another edition of APA Sports Report. All right, I've lost my sound. All right, I think we're good. So, this episode, it's been a while since we've done one, but this episode, we're going to talk about all the spring sports, everything that's been geared up and is going on in Parrott Athletics. We had a very good, successful winter sports for all our teams, and now we are into the spring. We were supposed to have some games today, but Mother Nature in Eastern North Carolina said no. So, as I'm sure, no school for a lot of people, no practices, no sports. But we are going to talk about sports. And one of the things that we're going to do on this episode is we're going to bring our AD and our varsity baseball coach, Robert Kravitz, onto the show. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan.
All right, yeah. So I have lost my. Let me take these out because I can't hear. I thought I did. All right, say something now, Kravitz.
Can you hear me now?
That's perfect. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was definitely not you. It was me. We just talked about this. But hey, welcome to the show. Spring sports are here. Uh, give me a little AD version of how you think not only the spring has started, but fall and winter.
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, spring sports obviously means rain, dealing with weather. Obviously, like today, it makes it tough. Trying to find dates to reschedule, you have to accommodate so many things, and finding dates that match between schools and getting officials and everything else like that. So spring sports are always a nightmare, but nonetheless, they're fun and exciting, and we're off to a good spring start. The fall, to go back to the beginning of the year was a great season. I mean, we had a lot of success. Our tennis team obviously was very successful, like they always are. Our volleyball team held up a strong tradition. We send boys and girls to the state meet for cross country. Our cheerleaders are awesome, but we can't not mention the fall and not talk about the football team that had a great season of 13-0 and winning a state championship again. Just a phenomenal job by those guys, those coaches. It's great for them, for the school community, for the morale across campus. It's just awesome to see those kids have that experience, and then jump into the winter season, which feels like it just ended. But Coach Gainey, Coach Blackwelder had two great seasons once again, both in their second year as varsity coaches, making it to the playoffs for consecutive years. The girls winning the game at Trinity, I believe it was. And then, the guys making it and falling short in the first round. And just the young learning curve that our JV and middle school teams had this year. And our swim team, once again, always being competitive in the conference and sending kids to the state meet. So, so far so good for us. And hopefully the spring can keep it rolling.
Yeah, and so we're going to jump right into the spring. One of the things I want to bring up is our competitive shooting team. So this is from yesterday, or excuse me, from Saturday this weekend. Not a lot of schools have a competitive shooting team. Definitely didn't see it when I was growing up at Beddingfield. Did a lot of shooting, but nothing, for school activities. But huge congratulations to our Alpha team, which is the senior division, on their second place in the hunter skills, second place in rifle, and second place overall team finish. Our Bravo team, which is the junior division, they had a first place in hunter skills, first place in the trap shotgun, second place in rifle, second place overall team, and Brett Brinkley, first place individual in the hunter skills. Couple other things with this: Lewis Foy, Aiden Johnson, and Raylan Wells. They all had perfect scores in the trap shotgun. Second senior division after a 5-round shootout. Raylan Wells finished second after a 7-round shootout. With this, both the Alpha team and the Bravo teams have qualified and will advance to the state tournament. That is going to be April 25th in Ellerby.
That's right.
Carolina.
Yep.
Never from North Carolina. Never heard of Ellerby, but congratulations to them. I got a chance back at their practice competition a couple weeks ago, held out at Perry Farm. Got to go out there and check them out. It was fun. Congratulations to all those athletes. It was loud, but a lot of bang bang. But it's awesome to see them competing, and a lot of these kids who are competing on this team compete in other sports throughout the year. So it's just another avenue for them to compete and bring home some hardware, adding hardware, as Officer Wells said, who is coaching that team. So next, varsity golf. We're going to go through kind of every spring sport. They had their first match this past week at Cutter Creek, tough golf course. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Coach Perry and to the boys for finishing first. They had a team score of 321. Wesley Blair shot 78. William Wilder Jr., Wild Bill as I call him, shot 79. They had a match that was scheduled today at Walnut Creek.
Yep.
It didn't happen like we said earlier, but up next, they go to Cypress Landing down in Chocowinity on Thursday. They expect to I think it's a little bit of an easier golf course than Cutter Creek. Cutter Creek's a hard golf course. I played this past weekend. Some of those scores that we see out there are great for these kids. So hopefully have some, better luck at Cypress Landing. I mean, they finished first, but, some lower scores. I'm a golfer. We want as low as we can go. This ain't bowling. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So try to keep it down. I've been talking to some of the guys, just tell them, I was like, hey, you're there. Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. That's awesome, too, for them to finish first in their first match, too. And
over some good teams.
Tough, too.
Yeah, and I didn't put his up there, but like Conley was there, Rose, Newbern, Teach. I mean, so there were some Conley's got some golfers, like, they got everything in Greenville, but shout out definitely. I think Conley shot 326, so beating them by 5 was definitely big time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, super proud of him. Nathan does a great job with him too. So
he does an awesome job. Next up, varsity girls lacrosse. The team is 3-1. They took a tough loss Friday against Cape Fear. Cape Fear's had a very good program for a long time, but shout out to them. They won their first 3 games. They beat John Paul last week. They play John Paul coming up next week. They beat the Coastal Pirates, which is a club team from Conley, and Cary Academy. But Caroline Clark, CJ Blackwelder, Gigi Johnson, all leading the team. Got some stats here. In 4 games, Caroline Clark has 20 goals. CJ has 12, and Gigi's got a .607 save percentage. And here's a little picture. Coach Knock, Danny Knock, a former student who has come back to coach the team his first year. He's doing a great job. Kravis, what can you tell me a little bit about Knock and what you think about this team so far?
Yeah, I mean, what a great find in Coach Knock. He actually reached out several years ago to Coach Beeman, actually, about trying to get in on the staff out here at Parrott Academy, and just a guy who's willing to do anything and everything he can to give back to Parrott Academy, a place he once called home. And finding coaches is very difficult. Finding coaches in certain sports are very difficult, lacrosse being one of those, because it's you got to find someone who knows the game, knows the rules, and can relate to kids. And I got his number, reached out, and met with him like a day later, and man, you could just tell right off the bat that this guy was eager to coach, be around kids, and give back. And man, just an awesome guy. So excited for the girls to have him as their coach. And I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but he's a detective here in Greenville, so he's got a serious job. But he's been awesome to work with, awesome to deal with, great communicator, and I'm excited to have him on staff.
Yeah, I talked to him before the season started, and he told me about he'd already divulged that information. So
Yeah.
I don't, we're not keeping anything a secret here, but he just the excitement that he brought. One of the things he told me was he wanted to, he gives back to his community there in Greenville, as a detective, but wanting to give back to a school that gave him opportunity. He told me he had transferred in from Kinston, played football, played lacrosse here at Parrott, and he was just looking for that opportunity. And I've been to the last 2 games, 3 games: John Paul, Cary Academy, John Paul, Coastal Pirates, and Cape Fear.
Mm-hmm.
But just talking to some of the parents and talking to the girls, I think he's a really good fit. I think the athletes like him, the kids like him. He's hollering, be a goldfish. Ted Lasso, we talked about that in the interview. Just so I think his positive attitude, how he handles situations. He gets in with the refs a little bit, which is funny because I was talking to Garrett Blackwelder, and he said, I think he gives the refs more problems than you do. And, he was like, nah, but, he's fighting for them, when he doesn't feel like didn't get a right call or something. I think the girls appreciate that.
Yeah.
But they do have John Paul next week in Greenville, and then they got Cape Fear again, and then they got New Bern High School coming up home and away. I know New Bern usually has a good program, so I just can't wait to see where this team ends up at the end of the year. But that's going to bring us up now to our JV soccer. We're going to talk about the girls soccer. JV soccer 1-0-1. They've had a couple games canceled. There are 2 games they played against Faith Christian. The first one on the road, tie. It was 1-1 tie. Mm-hmm. They beat Faith Christian last week 4-3. Congratulations, Mary Wynn Stackhouse. She had all 4 goals in that win. That was a come from behind win. I think they were down 1-0 at halftime. But, way to show out. That JV soccer program they're very young. That Faith Christian team had some older kids on it playing against them. Mm-hmm. Never lost their composure. Their next game is Rocky Mount Thursday at home. I know I put on the schedule it was away, but it will be at home at 4:00. And right behind them at 5:30, our varsity soccer. They will be playing Rocky Mount Thursday at home. They are 1-0. They've also had some games that have been canceled. They went down to Fayetteville, picked up a win. Abby Lucas had the 1 goal. Anna Lou Purdue had the assist. So they are 1-0. They play 5:30 at home against Rocky Mount Academy.
Yeah, and a big one for them at Fayetteville Christian too. Another 3A game and on the road against a tough opponent. That's a great start for them. Just hate to see him only get 1 game in thus far, but again, spring, rain, weather, it's awful.
Yeah, it is. And guess what? We're going to talk about another team that has been affected by everything. JV softball. They were 1-1. They lost to Frink, middle 2-5 to start the season. But then, great win, 18-2 against Rocky Mount Academy. Their next game will be next week at Liberty Christian. Coach Kristen Beeman, who's coaching the JV and the varsity, has got a really young roster. Did we have a JV team last year?
Yeah, last year was the first year I think the school would ever
first year.
Team. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I heard last year there was a bunch of like 5th and 6th graders coming up. Taryn's playing on this team. Coach, what can you tell me about this team? What you know?
Oh yeah, Kristen, Coach Beeman, she has a bright future ahead of them with all those girls up there that play. A lot of those girls already have a lot of experience and have already played well over, 500 games in their short life. There's a lot of young talent there, and for her, that's great. And as long as the kids stay, I feel like they have potential to be very good in the future.
Yeah, and then varsity, we're going to go to varsity softball. I covered this team last year, and they took some hard losses. Came out this year, beat Pungo. Coach Christensen, couldn't remember the last time they started 1-0. They did lose to a tough loss to Halifax Academy. But, Claire Mix and Callie Sanderson, AG, they're, leading the team. They got a big matchup tomorrow with Wilson Christian at home. That's going to be a good game for me. I saw Wilson Christian last year when they played Bethel in the state championship. So, they've got some good athletes over there, my hometown of Wilson. But congratulations to, the varsity softball team starting 1-1. And, there's a lot of young players on that varsity team as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, now JV tennis. They've had like 5 matches scheduled, only 1 completed. 1-0, beat Rocky Mount Academy 8-1 last week. They are at home versus Epiphany tomorrow. The guys look very competitive, and I can't wait to see them. Varsity tennis has gotten a little more action, a couple more games in. They are 3-1. They beat Greenfield, North Lenoir, and Faith Christian to start the year. They did lose to Wayne Country Day last week, but tomorrow they are scheduled to be back in action at Greenfield in Wilson. So, congratulations to them and, the success that they've had so far. Now we're getting into the last couple teams. JV baseball, 1-1. They beat Frank 9-8. Was an exciting game. Come from behind, win down to the last. They did lose to Rocky Mount Academy. Their next scheduled game is Thursday at New Bern Christian. I think they were scheduled tomorrow, but they're not playing tomorrow, so they are going to play Thursday.
So they're actually going to end up playing Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, so tomorrow they were supposed to play at Greenfield, and because of the rain today, Greenfield had to schedule a doubleheader, obviously, for their varsity team Tuesday. So that game that they were supposed to play tomorrow has been moved to Wednesday. So they'll play Wednesday, Thursday this week.
Yeah, and this team, Coach Shy, everybody knows Coach Shy Thompson, is head coaching, and Garrett's assisting him. But you're around this program just as much as the varsity. Kind of take me through this JV team.
Yeah, just kind of similar to that JV softball team where there's a lot of kids that, have played a lot of baseball, have some talent. And again, as long as those kids stick around Parrott, this is a team that could be very good in the future, very competitive, actually. We practice 90% of the time together, the two teams. And to be quite frank, there's not a lot of differences between some of those younger guys and the older guys. And it just comes from, being around the sport, being around the game for such a long time. And, again, I'm excited to see what the future holds for those kids.
Yeah, there are some studs on that JV team. Yeah. They're fun to watch. But now we're gonna get up to the varsity baseball. 7-2. Lost the last game versus Harold's Christian last week, Friday, 2-0. Next up is Wilson Christian tomorrow at home. But Coach, kind of take me through the 7-2 record so far. I know a doubleheader to start at Goldsboro. Picked up 2 drastically different wins there. Saw a really good team in Grace Christian of Sanford. Then we hosted an invitational where we played 3 games in 2 days. But kind of take me through this 7-2 record.
Yeah, like you said, there's that first night up in Goldsboro, doubleheader, 2 5-inning games, which they're always scary because you never know what to expect in 5 innings. You can have a pitcher's duel and it be 0-0 or a very close game, going into the 4th, and you only have 6 or 3 more outs left to make a move. And the first game we came out swinging and knocked them around a little bit, and they struggled to throw strikes early. I think the final score was like 20-0 or something like that. But that was very similar to what happened last year when we played them. The first time we played them, it was a lopsided score, and then they came to Parrott, and it was a very competitive game. And, going into the second game, we immediately told them, hey, you can't forget what happened last year. And sure enough, I think we were down going into the fourth, I think, and Cole Harris
Yeah.
had hit that solo shot to tie it up. And, Tucker Blodgett, an eighth grader, came in to the pitch and kind of shut him down, and also had a big, 2 RBI single that scored a couple runs. And another guy, Jonathan Harrell, one of our young guys who's done phenomenal for us this year, had an RBI sac fly that, put us up and kind of sealed the victory for us. And, just shortly after that, we get to face one of the best teams in the state, whether it's public or private school, in Grace Christian and Sanford. And, they turn around and do the same thing to us that we did to the Goldsboro and beat us 19-0. And we just couldn't do anything for them. And, our message to them, our guys that night, was just go out there and fight, compete, and see what happens. And, man, they just hit the ball over the ballpark, which, I'd rather do that than throw a bunch of walks and, give them everything. But very good team, and very good to see kind of where you measure up against teams like that. And I think Pungo followed Pungo after that maybe and got a win there over a pretty good team. And then the 3 games over the weekend, and I kind of tell people all the time, Trinity had a very good pitcher. Smith Harrison threw a great game for us that day. And the next day you battle back, or no, later on that night, Grace Christian of Raleigh, another team, a team we haven't played in quite some time, honestly. Had a comeback win against them, and then Saturday morning a comeback win against New Bern Christian. And, when you play, 3 games in 2 days and 5 throughout a week or whatever it is, it's tough. No matter who you play, it's exhausting on your body. And, our guys, the one thing I love about this team is they go hard, they practice hard, they do exactly what you tell them or ask them to do. They practice with intent. The one thing we have out there this year that we hadn't had in a while is some competition. And we told the guys, every day you get an opportunity to earn a spot, and it might be different. Lineups might be different one game compared to the next, but no matter who's in the lineup, we want it to be the same. We don't want it to be like, oh, we're missing, Tanner Outlaw tonight. We want it to be consistent and make sure that our team never misses a beat.
Yeah, and there's a couple kids that I want to bring up. There's 4 or 6 of them, but I got 2 seniors, a junior and a sophomore. This team is definitely bigger than these kids we're going to talk about. But some of the ones to start off, senior Jarrett Moore and the lefty, great pitcher, center fielder. What does he mean to this team?
Just experience. Jarrett started playing with us as a freshman, and I told him in the bullpen one day, I was like, Jarrett, you could throw more innings for anybody else on this team now as a freshman if you just learn how to throw strikes. And he's put in the work, the time, the energy. We feel like we have a chance to win every time he pitches. He's definitely our number one guy. And the other night against Harrell's, he struggled against their lineup early in the game. Couldn't find the curveball, but he battled. He was able to, we had bases loaded with 2 outs and a routine ground ball to second base, and flip it to short, and we just drop a ball that scores 2 runs, and no one ever scores again for the rest of the night. And he's upset at himself, and I'm just like, dude, like, you have to shake it off and forget it. And he had a bad night at the plate as well that night, but. For Jarrett and, guys like him and Tanner, it's just one of those things where, you have to lead by example. And, baseball's such a cruel game, as all sports are. But, anyone who's played baseball or softball, you're always told if you bat 300, which is, 30%, you'll be in the Hall of Fame. But, if you got a 30 on a test, you probably wouldn't be going so well at home. But it's such a cruel game because, man, you can hit a ball, the best ball you ever hit in your life, and it be caught by an outfielder that's diving or hit right at somebody. So, Jarrett just brings a lot of experience for us, and we've won a lot of games with him. We've lost some games with him, close games, blowouts, whatever it may be. So he's kind of seen it all, and we're just ready for him to, be more of a vocal leader in a positive way. And we got a lot of young guys, and just want to see him take that next step.
All right, how about this one, Tanner Outlaw? I know you talked about him just a second ago. I mean, I saw him last year. You had Cade and Jalen and JoJo. Kind of the leaders. Tanner's very vocal in the dugout. Talk to me about 21.
Yeah, Tanner's one of those guys where you always have the guy on the team you go to war with, and Tanner's that guy. Uh, if I were somewhere and had to brawl with somebody, I'd want Tanner on my side for sure.
Yes.
He's just a dude who doesn't ever quit. And the good thing about him is, he does have that short term memory where, regardless of the score and whatever the outcome is, he's like, all right, guys, it's on to the next one in a positive way. He's a great leader for us, and man, it's just hard to believe that those guys are seniors because I just remember them, 4 years ago being in our program and, kind of like looking at them like, I look at Tucker and Johnson and dudes like that, like, man, these guys are going to be special in, 3-4 years, and it's their turn, and I'm just excited for what the rest of the year holds for them.
Yeah, and so next I want to bring up Cole Watson. Surprise, we're going to have two Coles we're going to talk about. The first one's going to be Watson, catcher. Handles everything back there behind the plate. Kind of the voice between the pitchers from you to the pitchers. And I can see a lot. I know he's a junior. Watching him last year, I feel like he's taken a step this year. Kind of take me through Cole and his game.
Yeah, definitely a huge jump in maturity there from Cole. So proud of him. I was a catcher, so and actually we have Colby McLaughlin helping us out, coach, who was also a catcher. So he hears it from both of us. And I let Colby work with him quite a bit this year. Colby's doing a great job, and I mean Cole's just, man, I feel for him because he's we have him that can catch, and then it's kind of catching by committee, which Cole Harris catches for us a little bit when we need him and does a great job. But he's still coming off of an ankle injury that limits him from working behind the plate. But Cole's the guy who gets all the grunt in practice, block balls all day and retrieve balls and throw balls, and then in the game you do it all again. And sometimes when you watch him, I've heard people say he's lazy. Well, no, he's not lazy. He's tired. He's wore out. But I tell him all the time, when there's no one on base or if there's a situation that we can't be hurt, to more so relax. If there's not a runner on base, I don't care if the ball gets by him. I'm not going to yell at him for not blocking a ball that no runner advances on. But, defensively, he's been so good for us this year. And anyone who's ever been a catcher knows it's tough, after catching 7 innings or 9 innings or 3 games over a weekend. Your legs are tired. They're like jello. Your arms are sore. You're just beat up. And Cole, I'll ask him every inning, Cole, you okay? He's like, yes, sir. So, super proud of him, and just, hope he can stay healthy because, we have a lot of good players on our team, but, Cole's definitely our most important player right now. We cannot afford for him to be hurt.
Now talk about the sophomore, the other Cole Harris. I think this might have been the at bat he hit. This was in Goldsboro, where he hit that home run. He has the one home run over the fence this year. He plays first. He can play third. He can catch. He's pitched some this year. Kind of a Swiss Army knife. Got an explosive bat. I know he hasn't had, the success the last couple of games, that he wants. And he's an athlete. He's, he demands a lot of himself. He's a competitor. But kind of take me through Cole Harris and, his play this year.
Yeah, I'm just glad to see him playing. He broke his ankle or foot or, not really sure exactly what it was that was broken or messed up. Playing pickup basketball. Imagine somebody getting hurt playing pickup basketball, right?
I've never heard of that. Does that happen?
No. But, it's kind of one of those things where, his dad is on staff, and During winter workouts, he was always in the training room with Candace, and I would just tell Jamie like, I hope he can play. I just want him to play, and you know, Jamie's so optimistic and so positive. He's like, oh, he's playing, but that wasn't coach talk. That was dad talk,
Yeah.
Um, and man, I'm just glad to see him out there and be out there because, like I said, there was a time where I thought if he would even play this year, it would be later in the year. But to have him out there in that first game and out there ever since has been awesome. But yeah, you're right. Kid, he's got tons of potential. I got to remind myself all the time he's only a sophomore. They're still young when they're in the 10th grade. Still a lot of learning. He's got a lot of learning to do. Just Cole's got a big bat. He can hit it a long way, but he's got to learn that you don't have to hit it a long way every time. And I think once he realizes that, the sky's the limit for him. But yeah, defensively, phenomenal at first base, can put him at third. He's also got 2 saves on the mound for us this year. So we expect a lot from Cole.
Next up, I'm gonna call them the underclassmen. 8th grader 15, Tucker Blodgett and Johnson Harrell. I know you've already talked about them earlier. Tucker can play first base. He's pitched some. Johnson, I think he's played right field, third base, pitched, caught. Can kind of put him anywhere. Talk about these guys a little bit more in depth, and then also transition in. I don't have anything brought up for him, but there's a senior playing his first year of baseball, Mr. Ben Barrett. Talk about him as well. So Tucker,
sure.
Johnson, and then Ben.
Sure. Yeah. Tucker, I've been coaching for, I think this is my 22nd year, and it's all been at the private school level. I started at Lawrence Academy, and I was a product of public school. So middle school kids playing varsity baseball was always kind of like, what? But I had a catcher at Lawrence who was a 7th grader that once I saw him catch, I was like, well, shoot, he's better than the kid that's a junior. So why not if I can do it, his parents agreed for him to play varsity. His older brother played varsity, so it worked out well for them as far as, going to games. And this kid ended up being a stud, a college all-conference player. And, I mean, just a dude. So, like, every time I see these young guys, I'm like, man, the quicker we can get them on these bigger fields and seeing these, 80-plus arms or just being around older people, older players, the better they're going to be. But, that's a hard sell to parents because – you're talking about 2 dudes right now that would start on the JV team, would probably play every inning, probably win some awards. I mean, they're good players. And to be quite honest with you, Tucker has been our best pitcher as far as efficiency goes right now. He's 3-0. He's got a 1.95 ERA. Baseball coaches and baseball people are superstitious, but I also know it's going to happen. But he's yet to walk a batter in 3 appearances, and he just goes up there and I told him, I said, Tucker, you probably strike out a lot of kids your age, and here you probably won't. So just let him hit it and let our defense play. And he's kind of just taken that approach, throw strikes and let our defense play. And honestly, like, our defense has been pretty. I like our defense when he's pitching. I think it's our best defense when he's pitching. We've had 2 fall apart innings while he pitches, and if I feel like we can clean those up with him on the mound, we can be dangerous because he can pitch. He knows how to pitch. So, I'm excited for him. He's done so good for us. He fits in well with the kids, and it's just been a great addition for us for sure. And same to say about Johnson. You look at a kid who's a 7th grader, but, he's got the body of a 9th grader. So, he's got a beautiful swing. You can tell he's had some coaching coming up. Man, he's fouling off pitches that are, 85, 86. He's a 7th grader. And it's one of those things, again, where, like, parents are, is this what's best for the kid? Is this what's best for the program? And, just seeing him go out there and play every inning and compete. And, I mean, he's honestly one of our best players right now. I think he's second in the team in hitting. And again, it's funny. One day I asked him at practice, I said, "What position can you not play?" And he just looked at me for like 40 seconds, and I was like, "Great answer. Like, I love it." So
Yeah.
I could put anybody anywhere, and in the end, I could just put Johnson wherever I want to put him. And again, you're talking about him and Tucker both just being around older kids, which is kind of always scary, but it's not. Parrott has great kids. Our baseball guys are awesome, and man, they're just joking with the kids in the dugout, and they joke back. And I mean, it's just good to see them have that camaraderie early at a young age like this, and the older guys kind of bringing them right in. But two great baseball players right there, and I'm excited for their future at Parrott for sure. And then Ben Barrett, I don't know how I feel about Ben. I love him, but I hate him, and I say that because he should have been playing baseball 3 years ago. Uh, he came to Parrott, shucks, what is a sophomore?
Yeah.
And I remember hearing someone say, "Oh, he was a Greenville All-Star," whatever that means. I don't know. But I was like, "Hey, man, you need to play baseball." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll play. And then he never show up, and it was kind of one of those things where it's like, "Hey, I'm not going to play because I'm a basketball player." And I watch him play basketball. I'm like, well, maybe not, but okay,
Yeah, baseball starts in February.
yeah. So anyway, he doesn't play baseball, and then he's playing football, and then you watch him play football, and it's like, dude, I thought you said you were a basketball player. So he goes out there, shines on the football field, and then the next year comes again. It's like, hey man, you gonna play baseball? I said, yeah, I'm gonna play baseball. And then a week before the season or whatever, he's like, no, I'm not gonna play. So then this year rolls around, and I'm like, dude, what else are you gonna do? Like you have it's your senior year, like why not? And he comes out there, and you could tell right away. Just time, baseball is such a timing sport, and and he's so athletic and I mean, it was easy for him to get back into a groove. When I first saw him swing, I was like, okay, yeah, this is trash. Like this is gonna
He's
be
a
awesome.
basketball player. That was the basketball player in him.
So I was like, okay, so maybe if we can just figure out a way for him to play defense, I don't know. We'll let the rest figure it all out. Well, he just started finding the barrel at practice. And I'm one of those coaches, like I don't care how ugly your swing is, and swings can look different, but you all want to have the same end result, and that's find the barrel, and Ben finds the barrel. So plus he's only here for a year, so I mean we just need to get whatever we can out of him while he's here. But man, you just talk about a spark plug. And I tell him every single day he messed up by not playing baseball those 3 years because basketball wasn't it. Football. I mean, he's a heck of a football player, but I mean, I feel like if he weighed, I don't know how tall has been 6'1", 6 foot, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. I mean, I feel like if he had a few more inches and 40 more pounds, dude, he'd be going wherever he wants for football. But man, he can fly. That
Yes.
dude is, and I don't know that it's weird to say this because I've been around a lot of guys who are really fast. Ben's fast, but I think it's because of his strides. His strides are so flawless. And I don't know that he's ever trained to be a runner, but man, when you watch him run, it's just like wow, that's incredible. He's got next level speed. He's fun to have out there, and he's kind of one of those things where like he's here. Let's see if it works. And man, it's working out for us. He's batting 400 for us right now. I mean, heck, the other day he bunted a ball 3 feet in front of the catcher, and he was touching first base before the catcher picked the ball up. Is insane. I mean, the dude can float.
Yeah.
So, I mean, having him out there is awesome, and he's a good teammate, man. I've never coached him before. This is my first year, and I've been around. Ben and I have always had a good relationship throughout school. I'd see him, we talk. He'd always speak. So I always knew he was a good kid. But to have him out there and see how he is as a teammate is awesome. He's a great teammate, and and I think that's the thing about our guys. Everybody wants to play. There's no doubt about it. And we tell the guys all the time, you earn your playing time at practice, and we don't play favorites. We don't play just because you've been here for so long, and varsity sports are sports that are meant to win, and that's what everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to play. And we have guys that they understand their roles. Sometimes they play, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they run, sometimes they hit. I mean, and I just think we just try to keep that mentality throughout the rest of the season, and it's going to look different from time to time. And again, it doesn't matter who's out there. We just have to make sure we're the same no matter who's there.
Yeah, I think you said Ben's batting 400. I think he could probably bat 800 without even hitting the ball out the infield.
He can.
Harold's game, they had a combined no hitter against us, but that one ball that he hit and the center fielder ran in and made like a diving, sliding catch. It was a great play by him, but I'm gonna tell you, you wanted to see some speed. If that ball would have got by him, I think he scores.
Yeah, we'd have lost 2-1.
yeah. I mean, and he's fun. He brings a good presence around the team. I think
for sure.
He's kind of a cut up, but he knows when to take it serious. When to be serious. But that's kind of all I've got to talk about the team, about Parrott Sports. But I do want to pick your brain. You've been watching the WBC,
I mean, I've watched it. I've watched some excerpts of it. I mean, it's, dude, that's something I'd like to go see sometime. I've got buddies that go and they watch it, and it's something we've talked about ever since they started the thing. And man, that would be so much fun to go and watch.
Yeah, Italy and Venezuela play tonight.
Yeah.
And then the U.S. beats Dominican Republic, which was a great game. Paul Skeens, which, the dude's good. But the U.S. is in the final. Do you think that the U.S. can pull it off?
Yes. I mean,
I think, beating the Dominican Republic was the hardest thing, even though we lost Italy earlier in group play.
Yeah.
With Japan losing, I want to see the U.S. win it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, and I mean, sports are so. Sports are just tough, man, and especially baseball, because then you get a pitcher that just goes at like Paul Skeens, that's not fair. But that's all pitchers now almost. Every pitcher throws so hard, and who can hit a 98-mile-an-hour two-seam fastball that runs a foot into your hands? Good gracious. So I like to see him win it. I think it's cool. But Italy. What? It's funny because, man, when it started, especially after we lost to them, at first I was like, what?
Yeah.
But in 2002, I had an opportunity to play overseas in a tournament, and college USA team, and played in a tournament, and Italy had a team in it, and we beat the brakes off of them. Now, don't get me wrong, they had good players, but we did too. But I mean, so to me, that always kind of, when I hear Italy in baseball, I'm like, what? So it's funny to me. But shoot, they haven't lost a game, and I mean, they stand just as good a chance as anybody else of winning it all. So, but either way, I hope the U.S. brings it home. I'm excited about it.
One last question. You're a Gators fan.
Yeah, man.
Can they win it all? The brackets just got released. This is a sports show. We're going to talk a little bit about non-Parrott sports, but
we need to.
What do you think?
We need to get a bracket together with the coaches for one thing, so we can go ahead but we just can't let Garrett Grady be in because he always wins.
He always wins. Well, ECU's not in it, so you can't pick ECU.
I mean, I like their draw, but at the same time, Vanderbilt team we just got smoked by is in our draw, and then Houston. I mean, that's tough, but I mean, yeah, I'd love to see him repeat as champions. But that's tough. It's tough to win it once. I mean, let alone twice, especially going back to back. I definitely wouldn't bet on him, but I sure would love to see him pull it off. But again, March Madness, everyone's playing for their life in sports. You know how they roll. It's just tough, man. But this is the most exciting time to be a sports fan, in my opinion. NCAA basketball, you know, got baseball winding up or getting ready to begin. So this is good stuff. This is a good season.
Yeah, and for me, golf.
Yeah.
We had the Players this weekend. Masters coming up.
Yeah.
Big hockey fan. Hurricanes.
Yep.
See behind me. Stanley Cup playoffs coming up. So yeah, this is definitely by far no NBA, which is great. I hate NBA.
Yeah, I'm not an NBA guy. I used to like it, but I can't get into it anymore.
But yeah, so great time. Who's the 6th seed in that region? Isn't it Carolina? Yeah, maybe they'll make it run.
No, Carolina's out first round, bro.
Come on, against VCU, the Shaka Smart specials.
Out.
Yeah, I remember when he was there. So
yeah,
I'm not.
Caleb Williams is still out, right?
Yeah,
out. They're one and done, man. They're going home.
Wilson.
Back to Durham they roll, buddy.
Yeah. Well, all right, Coach. Thanks for joining me on here, man. I had a blast. Any leaving message to the fans? Have you found your keys?
Yeah, still looking for them. You know, it's crazy. Man, I can't keep up with keys. Car keys, house keys, work keys. If they're keys, I don't give them. Never give them to me. I just need codes, doors with codes. That's what I need. So, speaking of doors with codes, you know, our baseball locker room right behind center field is hopefully a couple days within getting completed. Huge shout out to Jane Tire and the Tire family for their generous donation to make that happen. We have told the guys we told the guys a few weeks ago, we're like, you know, we'll let you look once, and then after we shut these doors, you don't get to see it again until it's completed. And the other day they installed the locker rooms and left the door open so the guys saw the lockers, and they were super pumped up about that. So I was like, guys, so we have to figure out their schedule and keeping them away so we can kind of unveil it per se to let the guys see it. And you know, we're excited about it. It's awesome. It's finally time that we had something out there. You know, man, I've been out there I think 11 years, and the guys would always just, you know, pee in the woods. And then you got all those buses out there with all those kids, and I'm like, guys, y'all are killing me right now.
Changing in the batting game.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then I'd get a phone call the next day from, you know, Mr. Steve Bryan or Matt or Mr. Moody, and they're like, hey, you got to tell the guys to stop using the bathroom in the woods. I'm like, so anyway, we have a locker room. It has toilets. But it's exciting. We're excited about that. But yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of spring left. A lot of teams, you know, have only played, you know, 1 game, 2 games. So a lot of spring left. You know, come out, see the kids, watch them work, and come out there and support them.
All right, sir. Well, that's going to end this. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you learned something. Hope this was informative. And like I said, we'll see everybody. A lot of stuff coming up this week. So we'll see you out at Parrott Academy.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yes, sir. Thank you.